Okay.
All right. Well, hi, everybody. It's so good to see you. I know it's been a while since I came to this meeting. I had a bit of Zoom fatigue for a while, but my meetings have slowed down during the week, so we can pencil some in on the weekends again. So big things happening right now. We just finished redistricting about a month ago now. We were at the time the first state to complete redistricting and to have legislatively approved maps. As I'm sure you know, some of those maps went to court. The Republicans sued over gerrymandering and were particularly concerned about the congressional map where we added a new district. And I don't think the 5-judge panel has ruled, but the first judge who did sort of the initial ruling says that the maps do not look, in fact, partisan gerrymandered, and made the recommendation not to change the boundaries to the 5-judge panel. So Hood River and Bend basically get moved out of CD2 in that map and get the new district, and it does include some of Portland. If you look at the way that the maps are drawn, it does, in my opinion, really reflect the way that the voters of Oregon tend to vote, in that we have one solid Republican district, we have 2 toss-up districts, and we have 3 solid Democrat districts. And I think that was excessively fair in terms of the balance of the votes in Oregon and the way that the Democrats handled putting the lines where they did. The concern or the consideration in my conversations with the redistricting committee was really focused on communities of common interest and making sure that, especially communities that had been separated because of development pressures, that they were able to be connected. They also did quite a bit of work with the tribes to find out how they wanted to be split up or kept together and what was important to them. And so you'll see some of that reflected in some of the more rural districts, where some tribes it was really important to keep the folks who lived on reservation connected to the people who lived off reservation but near. And other tribes, it was more important that the lines be actually separated so that one part of the tribe could really be have their voice heard sort of more densely within a Democratic district or a Republican district of that felt like they were being heard there. So very, very responsive process. I do think, just being honest, that we will see some balance shifting in the legislature in the next election. So I think we'll see maybe 33, 34 Democrats on the House side instead of 38. Part of that is due to the redistricting maps, and part of that is just due to the political dynamics of having president and Congress that are slightly leaning Democratic or mostly leaning Democratic, depending on how you want to look at it. And that sort of swing back that you always see in midterm elections. So it'll be a wild election season with, some drama on the Democratic side, quite a few Republican governor candidates, and then Betsy Johnson planning to run as an independent for the governor as well. So we'll see how all of that plays out. As far as our district, we saw some significant changes in that the southern side of the district, we lost Sandy, which is a bummer, in that we've been doing so much work with the water systems, small municipal water systems, but also the Sandy wastewater treatment facility itself, and some transportation work that we've been doing in Sandy in the 2635 corridor around Mount Hood. And we picked up the Dalles. So we kind of traded those 2 urban centers for as far as population is concerned. So the Dalles will now be, and oh my gosh, why can't I think of that little town? Mosher will also be in House District 52 moving forward, which keeps the ag community more connected. And there was quite a bit of testimony from people who felt like they live and work in both communities, and that the gorge needs somebody who really understands the National Scenic Area Act to be one representative working with their members of Congress. So hopefully that will be me. But we'll have to see how the race goes. It is now a +8 Democratic registration advantage district, so it should hopefully be easier for me. And I believe 77% of the voters in the new district are retained from the old district. So those folks have already voted for me twice, or at least most of them have. So feeling pretty good about that. There's also a heavy SEIU presence in the Dalles because they have the DHS district office there. And so really looking forward to connecting and collaborating with them on this election and making sure that we're working together. And then we're looking forward, we have the short session coming up. As Chair of House Human Services, we will really be focusing on workforce issues. I'm sure you've seen some of the news articles about people leaving the behavioral health and child welfare workforce spaces, also needing help with some more of the healthcare workforce. So we've been meeting chairs of healthcare, behavioral health, and human services on both the House and Senate side to talk about how are we going to stop the bleeding and make sure that we're reducing turnover and keeping good people in positions so that we can put some stability into that system. And you know, when you don't get good human services and behavioral health care, you end up with an increased homelessness problem. So we're already in a crisis as far as housing. So the attention needs to be paid there. We do have funding available thanks to the federal government. So right now we're trying to figure out where that money needs to go to be most effective, and meeting weekly to have those kinds of conversations. And we'll be having hearings at legislative days from the agencies and from consumers of those services, what they feel like needs to be changed in the short term so that we can make some positive change in that space. And that's probably enough talking.